Hey guys, welcome to yet another exciting video. Today we're going to cover a lot, and this will mean kind of us setting up a captive portal using the popular CoovaChilli captive portal software. Of course, it's open source, so but it kind of works well with Radius Desk. Majority of the use cases I've seen also, people set up captive portals and connect it to Radius Desk or Wi-Fi hotspot manager, and kind of pretty much serves as a very good base. And of course, today we're going to see how to install that. Right now, I'm on the wiki page and the documentation page for Radius Desk, and you can see this has been set up on Ubuntu, and pretty much we're going to set up things the CentOS way, right? So with some few tweaks and minor changes as well, of course. All right, so let's get the ball rolling. Of course, if let me see if I can create a connection back to our server. So let me turn up one and create a connection. Okay, so of course you can see we have just two interfaces here, and of course we can bring up the rest later. And one of the things I would like to do here is to go into the tools directory here, and you can see here I've already included the CoovaChilli RPMs. I've already compiled this into an RPM as well, so you can see the CoovaChilli RPMs. Here you can see the package manager, so we're going to use this. And of course you can see the CoovaChilli RPM file and then the source file. So if you want to recompile, of course you can use this as a guide. All right, so looking at my looking at the screen, I can see I have a couple of stuff to set up. So let me just minimize this. Let me just see if I can bring up this. I'm running Radius Desk here, so I need to go ahead and kind of restart the network stack. Alright, it's just to determine the IP information for ETH1. Alright, so hopefully it is okay. So hopefully I have an IP address now. And let me go ahead and look at my network connection. So I'm creating an auxiliary kind of connection where I want to create connections to multiple to kind of a private network. So you can see here I have the third adapter, which is using a generic driver. So if you're wondering how this is set up, was done automatically by a setup I did earlier. So let me log out of this and let me open up GNS3 here. So in GNS3 I created this simple network, right? So this is the RD box running, connected to a switch which connects to an XP client. So yeah, we have the XP client, so we're going to use the XP client to test. At the moment you can see there's no connectivity here. Okay, yeah, so we pretty much need to kind of bring up the third interface there. So let me see how Alright, so you can see cable connected, we can see the IP address information. Let me just quickly go ahead and try on something here. I can see that it's not kind of seeing the interface, so let me bring up the network config option here. So you can see I already have two interfaces here. Okay, alright, so let me just go ahead and try forcing this to kind of see all the information on the network interfaces. So I'm going to do this. You'd have rules are 70 persistent net. So I'm just going to delete these and kind of restart the box. Hopefully this fixes the little problem we have. So let me close this. Okay, so I paused there just so that we don't have to watch it reboot. So by now you should be able to kind of reconnect to this session. All right, so everything goes well. Or I could just, kind of duplicate the session, close this, yes, right to log in again. Hopefully we'll log in this time. All right, so I don't know why it's taking time to come up. Okay, so let me go ahead and minimize this. All right, so sorry for the little glitch. And yeah, so what I eventually did was to, you can see now it is recognized, one of the interfaces. So I just want to kind of tie this interface to the internal network, and this would be our CoovaChilli LAN network, while the ETH1 becomes our CoovaChilli WAN network. So just to kind of demonstrate, get things going. And so yeah, on the page you can see here this describes installing the CoovaChilli package. So but for us, we can go into the tools directory, and in the CoovaChilli RPMs file, I'm just going to go ahead and install it using RPM. If I can type today, so this would be i686, and of course we're just going to go ahead and install that. So of course it's going to complain that there is no chili group or user. Of course, using root instead, so you might want to consider creating the chili user as well. All right, so what this has done eventually is to create a chili directory in the Etsy directory. So you can see we have these files set up. So the way it works is we go into chili, and we make a copy of the default file, and we create a file called config. And once you do that, then of course you can kind of go ahead and edit the config to suit your your kind of environment. So you can see these are different settings you can set here. It's pretty much a big file, so I kind of recommend you spend some time going through this long list of files. And just to save us some time, I've kind of I'm just going to go ahead and remove this file and kind of create the file again. So create config and go into config. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go into the our directory here, into config.txt here. I already created some sample configuration here, and I've kind of removed all the comments, but you can use the other one you have. So this is just to save us some time, guys, so that we can concentrate more on other options. And of course you can see this one kind of uses a template I used earlier. So let's just modify some of this. So let's just say test network or test hotspot, and let's just modify some of this. This is not necessary, of course, but you get the idea. All right, so the provider is going to be let's just say Murphy. So everything pretty much points the same. So here one thing I need you to note is based on prior test, on previous test I did, I noticed that I had to use this HTTP port, TC port to kind of create open this ports in the IP tables rules that was created. And here you can see the HS UAM secret. Just set this to UAM secret, and right secret is secret, and my radius is running locally, so I'm using localhost. And of course the HSUM allowed, I'm allowing the CoovaChilli or Coova.org website. So what you can do is you can decide to leave sites that don't necessarily need to have the kind of the rules set to that. So what I want to do here is to kind of, in addition to this, let's just say the domain is uamfile.com and the UML we want to create is uamfile.com. All right, so let's see if that works. But before we do that, of course, our one interface is hs one if. So in addition to the config, I would like to kind of go into this file, and I need to copy this files as well. So eventually, when you go through my config file, you can see that we have quite a lot going on. It doesn't matter, I guess, the order. So just going to go ahead and paste this here, and of course I can just rearrange some of this here just in case. So here you can see that my LAN interface is the ETH2 and my network is 192.168.1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace all the 16.1. Well, since it's not much, let me just quickly go through that and change this. Okay, so of course I'm just going to leave these options as it is, so 3910, and of course you can change this DNS to point to whatever DNS you have. And of course here you can see that pretty much have say test NAS, and of course the HSSSID. I'll show you where this is used in a minute. So but for now, they just call this test SSID. And of course the server will be the listen address, and of course the UHS format will be the HTTP cake, RD cake, and the dynamic logins chili browser detect option here. All right, so but before we kind of go further, there's a cool login page that was created by Doug Van der Walt. So this is kind of an off topic, but just feel I should show you guys. So in the if you go to the start page, all right, my internet will allow me go today. All right, so it's taking some time. Maybe I've lost connection. All right, I guess I did. All right, so I'm just going to cancel this out, and let's just kind of go back to the root tools directory here. In the latest SVN file, you can see here that I have yet another directory called the RD login pages. All right, so I'm just going to copy the RD login pages, and I'm going to take it into our kind of like our root directory here. And once we copy this, all right, so we can go into all right, so we don't have that. Let's just make sure that everything is owned by Apache. All right, so in here, of course, we can just kind of go into cake 2 where we have the RD cake config. Kind of wondering why my system is kind of freezing up today. So we can make references to this. So here you can see that we have, you know, we have the /rd login pages, mobile, CoovaChilli, and some experimental stuff. All right, so here I guess everything is kind of set correctly. So you can see the /rd login pages, mobile, CoovaChilli and all that. So, all right, so pretty much I think we have the required files. Can see RD login pages here. All right, so since we've copied this, let's just go into the RD login pages file here. Go to services, and in services we need to modify the Uam file, and this should actually have the same password as we created them. So we called it Uam secret. Okay. Yep. So let's just go back to Chilli and go back to our config file here. All right. So eventually this will make sense once we test run it, and we can kind of go ahead and remove this two directive here. All right, so this is the bare bone we need, and one thing I need to point out is you need to have the HS mark of on or enabled, and hopefully if we run everything correctly, this should be this should make sense. Otherwise, then we have to kind of specify what needs to go on. But before we do that, kind of towards the end of the configuration file here, you can see I made an experimental section here, and of course we need to add this part. All right, so let's paste this, and of course this is the HS radius. We already have this, so of course we can just go ahead and remove this, and the NAS IP. But one of the things I want to add here is the core port, which is the HS core port option here. So let's just leave it as a default, so 3779. All right, so once we've done that, we need to make sure Chilli starts on boot. So Chilli on, and before we start that, we need to modify the start script here and CentOS. init Chilli. All right, so we need to make sure that this is correct. All right, so on the documentation page, all right, so in the documentation page, of course, we can use this as a guideline. This is just to force this ports to work, but instead of doing this, of course, we can just add it to the HSTC ports, and of course automatically get this to open. And of course, so one of the things you need to know is NAT support is disabled by default, so we need to ensure that that is enabled. And all right, so to do that, we need to also ensure that we add this bit of code right here to our startup script. So all right, let's go to the point where we need to add this right in between this, so we can go ahead and add this bit right here. All right, so basically this just kind of flushes the post routing table and then adds the masquerade on the WAN interface. Of course there are better ways of doing that, but this works as well. So what we can do is we can actually restart Chilli and test to see if everything goes on as expected. But here, because this was run on Ubuntu, they already have the dpkg package installed. So but we need to make sure we compile and enable that in CentOS. So we need to kind of extract this. So, xjvf dpkg .zip format. So I'm sorry about that. Not that J. Okay. So once we have that, we need to go into the dpkg package and run the customary configure make and make install. All right, so I'm going to pause through this. Once it's complete, then we can continue. Okay, and we're back. So what this did was to actually start stop daemon. So this basically kind of install the start stop daemon for us, so we can actually go ahead and copy the start stop daemon here and kind of edit our start script. So ini.d chili, and one of the first changes we would like to do here is to kind of create the a variable here. So we're just going to call it start stop daemon basically. So just ssd, and I'm going to paste the path to the start stop daemon, and here in the script where we kind of made reference to the start stop daemon, of course we can just replace that with ssd. So of course, so we can just do ssd here. So we have start stop daemon, we can just do ssd. All right. So make sure start stop daemon here is running. Right, so of course we need to make sure we have the user chili kind of running here. If we don't, just make sure you go ahead and add the user chili. All right, so we just do a user add chili, and that should do it. Okay. All right, so we're ready to go ahead and start chili. All right, so service chili start. All right, so ps ax do a grep on chili, and here you can see that the chili opt is already running. If you do an ifconfig, this should go ahead and create a tunnel. Yeah, so maybe we have to wait for that, or we have some errors in our config file. So of course we can go ahead and troubleshoot that, but this shows that chili is currently running, and init start should tell us otherwise. So all right, so chili is currently running. You can see chili is running at 3779. Chili is running at 192.168.11, 4910 and 3910. All right, so eventually created the tunnel. So this is what I wanted to show you guys. So created a tunnel here based on eth82, and you can see the tunnel is 192.168.1.1, and hopefully you can see that the Windows machine got an IP address, of course. So if you kind of are wondering, you can see if you go to support, you can see we have a 192.168.1.20 and 1.1, and of course this should validate the fact that we have indeed kind of gotten an IP address. So if you run a tail on our var here, so you can see that we have a client MAC address that has been assigned an IP address of 20. Great. All right, so once we have that set up, of course we can check if everything is kind of running the way it should. So we're going to go to the Windows XP machine and launch a browser. And yep, so I'm just going to kind of force the captive portal page to come up. Do this, and you can see we're hitting the captive portal page. All right, so let's see if this works. All right, so you can see here that we have connect, and of course, it's supposed to redirect to this page, but it's not. If you get this kind of error, don't worry. This was clarified by Dr. van der Waals. The reason why it's doing that is if you notice at the top or the header somewhere, you can see we're passing the option we created for SSID. So let me scroll to a point where it's showing that, and exactly that. So you can see here that our NAS ID has been set to test NAS, and the SSID has been set to test SSID. So we need to ensure that in Radius Desk we have that option set up. All right, so if I refresh the page, yep, so I'm going to log into Radius Desk. Okay, so in Radius Desk we kind of need to go into just a moment here. All right, we kind of need to go into NAS devices, and then in the NAS devices here, you can see we're basically using localhost. If you remember, we created the localhost NAS, so we need to edit this to reflect our changes. And the first thing we need to change is the secret, right? So we called it secret, so I'm just going to click save. If you go to realms, of course it's available only to this, so we can change this so that it's available to all the realms. These are changes you can make later by changing that. So go to optional info here, you can see we have 3779. So on the NAS ID we called it test NAS. All right, of course it's CoovaChilli, so go ahead and save that. Monitor, we're trying to monitor for ping. All these options are pretty much correct, so that should be okay, available to all. That should be fine. All right, so we need to also go into all right, so dynamic login pages. All right, so you can see that we already have one dynamic login page here. Of course we can maximize this, and one of the things I wanted you to see here is you can see here that the dynamic login page is set to SA Coast Street Brewer. So I'm going to change this to Murphy test login page. Just modifying the existing one here. Contact details, you can see the phone number here, 08059448754, and of course you can just copy all this, set it here. Info will be kind of info at Murphy or testrealm.com. We can test that. Of course we can just copy all this and change this, testrealm.com. Save it. Of course address, we can just say number 1 somewhere, street, town, of course I'm gonna say this is Abuja, and it should be Nigeria, of course. Okay, so we're just editing what's there. You can see the logo, photos, login pages. Here you can customize this part if you like. So let's go ahead and customize this part. So we can see welcome to Murphy hotspot, and of course you can see here that we have just some description we can put here. And of course this is the key part, so we must ensure, right, so this is the part you need to understand. We must ensure that where we have SSID, this key matches the value we have here. So you can see SSID has been changed to street boy here, so we need to ensure that this matches, right? So this would be test SSID. All right, so of course we can save that, and if we kind of refresh the page now, you can see, voila, we have the login page. So ensure that you do all this, and of course you wouldn't have a problem. All right, so once we do that, of course you can see here that we have the login page. If you click on about, you can see that this is the page we just set, Murphy test login, all the details somewhere, straight and all that. All right, so pretty useful. Of course, you see the image gallery here, rendered in a very interesting way. Of course, you can see the description here. You can click on help, and again you can get help. Welcome to Murphy hotspot and all that. And of course, the most important thing here is the fact that we have to click to log in. All right, so let's test our user Murphy and login. If you remember, we created in the subsequent previous screencasts. All right, so if you click this, and of course, we need to give some time to log in. If it doesn't, then of course we need to ensure that our kind of client is connected. So I'm going to go into Radius Desk, go to Tools, our debug output, and all right, so there's nothing on the debug here. Let's just try it again. All right, so nothing on the debug page. All right, so it means we need to go deeper. All right, we need to go here and check log messages, and all right, so here we can see that Radius request timeout. Funny enough, so all right, let's see how we can fix this. Of course, you can see UAM service is down. All right, so let's see if this works. It doesn't. Let's go back to Radius Desk. Let's click on the activity monitor. There's no activity here. All right, so this is just a way I will troubleshoot this. So I'm showing you all this so that you can actually kind of see, so I can see that something is kind of wrong, right? So service Radius D status. All right, so Radius is running. It's not listing my users. All right, so let's try this out and see. All right, so it's supposed to list the users and it's not. Let's just give that a shot one more time. All right, so it's not coming on. All right, so just give me a moment, let me troubleshoot, and then I'll be back with the solution or fix. Okay guys, so I'm back. The problem was actually not really a problem. Funny enough, I kind of just had to give the server a reboot because everything was done correctly, and basically we should be able to log in right now. So once you log in, this is the page you get. Has a refresh every X seconds, so it tells you refreshes to a point where kind of gives you a new update. And if you go back to Radius Desk here, and we click on the in the tools activity monitor, or you can click the activity monitor on the dash. The desktop here, you can see that we have a current session here from Murphy on the test stream, and of course you can see the calling station MAC ID and the IP address of the user, of course. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, you can see we have 41 seconds here. Of course, there's no bytes because I'm not put bytes from the internet, but of course we can see that this system, the captive portal system, has been set up, and a lot of things you can do here, but for now we can go ahead and test some of the functionality of Radius Desk. And if you have any questions or comments, please drop it in the note section, and hopefully we will kind of get back to you in due course. And hopefully you enjoyed this video as well. So thanks a lot, and I'll see you in the next video. All right, have a great day.